Do not pay attention to my hair. My channel is not a aesthetic or beauty channel. Okay? It's a growth channel. It's a channel for inner growth. It's not a beauty channel. But if you're like me, most of us grew up in a, well, I grew up in an environment where if I was asked a question, I was expected to answer immediately. And if I didn't answer immediately, I would be considered ill mannered, disrespectful, and I would be made to feel like the worst child in the world. And on top of that, the entire family would have to hear of my betrayal or my insubordination. You know? The entire family had to hear, and it was me against the world in a sense. Well, in that sense. And so, for a lot of us, most of us as parents who grew up in a similar environment, we may be doing the same thing to our children and not even realizing that this is not healthy. It's not healthy for you as a parent, and it's even more so not healthy for the child, because everybody, no matter what age or stage of life you are, when asked a question or when anything is asked of you for that matter, you are, it is your right to be able to consider your feelings and your thoughts and give a response. Whether you're going to be, unless and even if you're speaking on a matter of fact, where you're, sharing fact or giving factual information or conveying a factual, anything factual, it is your right to be able to take a few seconds and consider your thoughts and your feelings on the matter before you give a response. Some of us as parents as well, when we call our children, we expect them to respond immediately. I'm guilty of that because that's how I was brought up. So from time to time, it happens where I call my son and I expect him to just, like, as soon as me say, son, he's supposed to be at my foot, and I have to, you know. But it's in situations like this, like these. No, if it's an emergency and something serious, we understand because your tone is going to be different, and then they'll recognize in your voice that your tone is different, so something must be wrong. Children aren't stupid. They're not. It's in situations like this, when we ask our children questions or when we call them, that they get to honor their individuality and their independence. And these situations are how they learn to be themselves and to honor themselves. So if you ask a question of your child, allow them time to think. Now, if they're taking too long, obviously there is an issue, and then you need to try and help them to navigate whatever that issue is. Why is it that they're hesitating or taking so long to divulge the information? If you call the child and he or she is doing something, they are engaged in something that is important to them, and you call them and you expect them to just drop what they're doing and run to you, then that is also you teaching them how to dishonor themselves and to honor others instead of themselves. Now, if they're doing something and they say, "Oh, I'm coming," Allow them a few, as long as it's not urgent or life threatening, or, allow them a few minutes to finish whatever it is that they're doing, and then come to you within reasonable time. Within reasonable time, because it's in these situations that children learn to honor themselves, to honor who they are, so that as they get older, because essentially, and this is lived experience for me, so I know what I'm talking about. So as they get older, somebody asks them a question, they don't just say the first thing that comes to mind without considering their answer or the information they're about to give. And if somebody calls them and they're doing something for themselves, they don't just abandon what they're doing for themselves and run to the other person. Because remember, how we treat our children is how they will allow others to treat them. Because the psychology or the idea is, if my family or my parents or my caregivers treat me this way, then it's okay. It's acceptable because this is how my family treats me. That's the blueprint that they have to work with. That's the example that they are working from. So, parents, examine yourselves. We may be carrying things from our childhood that we don't recognize as unhealthy patterns or unhealthy behaviors that we're still using on our children. So examine ourselves, see if any of this applies to us, and if it does, it's not going to be an overnight fix, and I understand that all too well. But make the effort. Make the effort to make these little changes and these little adjustments. And believe me, it will make yours and your child's life better. And it will pay off tenfold for them when they become adults and they have to navigate life by themselves on their own, charting their own path through life. Welcome to Family Focus. Thank you for watching.